Well, welcome. Come on in. Welcome to At the Coach's Table Live. I'm executive coach and leadership psychology expert Phyllis Reagin, and today I'm talking about how to stop the comparison spiral from sabotaging your confidence. We often can notice the comparison spiral happening when we're scrolling on social media. We look at something and we say we want something, we want to be like that person, we want to have what they have, we want to live where they live, we want to have the partner they have, we want to have the clothes they have, whatever it is that you're comparing yourself to, and it can make you feel miserable. But this also happens to people professionally. So I have clients that come into coaching and they talk about how when they look at their colleague perhaps, and they see their colleague doing something that they think they excel at, they then feel bad about themselves and feel like they're inadequate, and it really impacts their confidence. So today I want to talk to you first, what's happening in your brain. Let's focus on that so you can understand what's happening to you and how it's really a human response, and then what you can do, how your brain can actually help you when you have these comparison spirals start happening, so you can stop them and do something different. What's happening in the brain is you have these special neurons, and they're called mirror neurons. And these mirror neurons are really your brain's imitation network. They're there to look at what you are doing, so your actions, and then also how other people are doing actions. And when you're looking at how other people are doing actions, it can almost, your brain interprets it as almost like you're doing it as well. But then there's something that happens that actually is negative that we'll talk about. So these mirror neurons are happening, they're firing off, and they're really important because this is how you learn and grow, by the social interactions that are happening around you, by the social cues that you are picking up on. So you're noticing something and you feel like you're doing it yourself, it then compares you to yourself. You can see the gap and learn and grow based on what you may need to develop as your skills or competencies, or how you actually need to show up differently as a leader. So it's really important to notice when it's happening, first of all, and then that those mirror neurons are actually, it's a very normal thing that the brain is doing. Here's where it's a problem for you if comparison then spirals you into feeling inadequate or less than, or you feel excluded, or it's just some negative aspect to it when you look at someone else and then you negatively compare yourself to them. So you're somehow feeling less than. So here's what's happening. Your mirror neurons activate. Then your reward center in your brain, which is the dopamine center, and this is where you get these dopamine hits, and it's saying to you, I want that. I want to be like that. I want to have that. I want to do that. I want to be that. All of these things, it's telling you, it's lighting up your dopamine center. And now you're getting a sense of like, this is something that's important to me that I want, but they have it, but I don't have it. So if they have it and I don't feel like I have it, now you're spiraling. You've activated now your amygdala. And your amygdala is your threat response area of your brain. It starts to send you these signals that you are not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not going to get it, you're behind, you're too old, you're too young. It's all the things that telling you, here's the gap, here's the threat. This is why you can't have it. This is why you can't be it. So that's the spiral. You notice what someone else is doing, and it shows you the difference between maybe how you perceive yourself and what you perceive about them. It activates your dopamine hits, telling you it's important, I want it, I want it, I want to be like that. And then your amygdala gets online and it starts firing off this information because it's trying to keep you safe. Don't try to go in that direction. Don't try to up level. Don't try to be like that person because it's unsafe. Be like you are now. And so it'll give you all this false information about why you can't be that person and why you're less than, or you're just all these negative aspects of it. So I have a client that came into coaching, and this was definitely happening to her. She would go into senior leadership meetings and meet with the C-suite. She was a senior leader herself, and one of her colleagues, she just really compared herself to this colleague because she seemed to really have a strong POV in the meetings. People listened to her, they followed her, they seemed really interested in what she had to say. And my client, as she's observing this, could feel that she was comparing herself negatively to this person and that she really wanted to be like this person. But she didn't go any deeper than that. She just knew, like, there's some gap and I don't know how I'm going to be like her. Can we focus in on that on coaching, which is a great place to start unraveling all of this. But she didn't really get to the deeper levels initially as to why this was happening and what that messaging was to her. So we first started for her to really normalize it and understand what was happening in her brain that was setting this up for her so that she can then do some different things. And as much as I know what's happening, my background is in neuroscience and psychology and leadership development. I have a deep understanding of what's happening. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen to me. I still get locked into comparing myself to others. So recently I was comparing myself to a colleague who is speaking on some of the big stages, and I could sense, I could feel that that's something that I was doing. Like, I was there, I could do it, I could be in front of people. And then my amygdala, my dopamine kicked in and said, you want that, you want to be like that. And then my amygdala kicked in and said, but you're not that. You're not doing that. You're not on those stages. You must not be as good as that person, right? You're not as competent as they are. So that's when I paused, and this is what I want you to do. We want to get your prefrontal cortex, part of your brain, up here. It's your decision-making area, it's your problem solving, it's your creative thinking and your strategic thinking. We want to get it back online because your amygdala is hijacking it. So you can't get to that kind of clarity until you pause and ask yourself some deeper, curious questions. So the curiosity, once you start to pause, and my pausing for me is to breathe. So I do breathing exercises. Sometimes I'll do meditation when I'm feeling it. So I can calm myself down, calm my amygdala down, and really get my prefrontal cortex back online so it can help me with this. Once I feel like I'm in a calmer state, I can get to more curious questions. And so those questions can be, what is it about that person that is making me feel like I want what they have? What is it signaling to me that's important to me right now in my life? What is it cluing me in on that might be telling me that that's the next evolution of what I want? So for my client, with her wanting to be like her colleague in the senior leadership meetings, her curiosity questions were, what is it that I want to be right now as a leader? That's not the same as looking across and saying, she has what I want and I can't have it, right? It's really a deeper question. And she reflected on this for quite some time. And then she realized what she really wanted was to have a way to really reach her deeper thoughts in those meetings and to express them with clarity. Because her why behind that was the work that she was doing deserved to be told in that fashion with clarity and calmness and confidence in front of the right stakeholders. So that's what she was able to connect to. It was important to her leadership. It was connecting to her why. And it was the next evolution for who she wanted to be as a leader. So here's what you do. This is what's going to help you. So when you're in a comparison spiral, the first thing you do is you name the trigger. You want to say it to your brain. The first thing you always want to do is name it so your brain then stops for a moment. It knows this is what's happening. It's not a swirl of all this other thinking that you might have. So you might say to yourself, I'm experiencing a comparison thought, or I'm experiencing some anxious thinking, right? You name it. Now you want to notice what it's pointing to. So what can it be pointing to? That's where you get your prefrontal cortex back online. You're going to ask those curiosity questions. The curiosity question might be, what is it telling me? What is it signaling to me? What is it telling me that's important to me to notice right now? What is it telling me about who I want to evolve into? So you want to ask those kind of questions. And then the last thing you want to do is you want to nourish the desire you have. So that's where you set up a small action based on what you found out from your curious questions. So if you found out, for instance, I'll use myself. I found out that when I looked at my colleague that was speaking on bigger stages, my question was, who do I want to evolve into now as a coach, right? As a leadership expert? And as I drove into that deeper, I realized I wanted my content to reach a wider audience. And then I asked myself even deeper questions. What could that look like? That could look like writing a book. That could look like being on stages. It could look like being a media expert. It had lots of potential ways that it could actually manifest in my life. Then I drove into deeper questions. What would be meaningful to me? What connects to my strengths, to my purpose, to my why, to what I love, to what energizes me? And then it came up that the first thing I want to do is be on stages, and the second thing I want to do is write my book. So to be on stages, then I had to nourish the desire. Then I set one small action, and that was to just begin to understand what the process is to get on those stages. So that was my first step. Because I set that small action, I felt empowered. I felt like it was possible. I didn't feel overwhelmed with negativity. I was no longer judging myself negatively to someone else. I could really see a clear path about how I could get there. So it gave me confidence. It built me back up. It empowered me. And that's what I want you to do. So remember, this is what you're going to do. You're going to name your trigger. What is it that you're thinking? You're then going to notice what it's pointing to. So ask those curiosity questions, and then you're going to nourish the desire. Set one small action to make what you found out about that's important to you from those curiosity questions to set it in motion, or to begin thinking differently, or to problem solve it differently. One small action. All right, that's your homework that you're going to do. So start noticing what's happening to you with the comparison spiraling. Remember what's going on in your brain so you can normalize it. Pause and go through naming the trigger, noticing what it's pointing to, and nourishing your desire. All right, I'd love to know how it's working out for you. Drop me a comment and let me know if you like these kind of talks where you can immediately put a strategy to action. I go live every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturdays. You can follow it on my YouTube channel, Leadership Unscripted with Phyllis Reagin, Reagin, or you can download the calendar. It says where you can find me on different social media outlets. And that calendar can be found at my website, Phyllis Reagin, REAGIN.com/live-events1. All right, I am really excited to see you on Friday. I'm going to talk to you about how you can make smarter, faster decisions when you're under pressure. That's 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'll see you then. Have a great Wednesday.